What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Gamescom. I am your host, Damon Hatfield. I'm joined today by Greg Miller.
Hey, Damon.
Colin Moriarty is here, and Andrew Goldfarb is also here.
Back in the chair.
Gamescom 2012 is underway in Germany. You'll get there again. Today, I
was slow.
You ceded it to Colin. That's all.
Well, seniority.
Yeah.
Been here about 4 years longer than you, so I'm getting
I deserve it.
so I'm getting the couch.
He's earned this. Greg, you and I went to Gamescom together once.
We did, yeah. That was a fun time.
Colin and I went to Gamescom together.
It was a hell of a time. We smoked Cuban cigars.
We did. Yeah. With the fans, actually.
Yeah.
It's such a good time.
Yeah.
What if all three of us were in Germany together for Gamescom?
I would be unhappy usually, probably.
You don't like to travel internationally.
International travel, not my favorite. I like Japan a lot. It was one of those things like Japan. We turned it around because we went there and you told me to live the Damon Hatfield lifestyle, and I was all right.
It's the Damon Hatfield lifestyle, ladies and gentlemen.
In Germany, I did not live the Damon Hatfield lifestyle. I was not as happy, and I remember the story to show you how bitter I was in Germany. These beautiful girls, like they're 20, Colin, they come walking up with cake, and they're like, "We want to buy some cake," and I'm like, "No!" And I walked right past them.
It was a fundraiser. It was like a.
They were trying to get married. They were trying to get.
Yeah, she was raising money for her wedding, and she was selling pastries on the street, and I was like, "Sure,
I'm all mean, and I'm like, "No!" And I steamroll right through the middle of them, and Damon stops and buys the cake, so I have to walk back all sheepishly.
I had a surprisingly great time in Germany.
No, you did. Was Japan your last international trip?
Yeah. That was a while ago too.
It's about time again.
You, me, and Mark.
That was like 2008.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a long time.
The old Mark Bozon train. We were over there eating the ramen. He ate the horse flesh. Eric Brunvig was there too.
Bozon.
Doesn't ring a bell?
Bozon, no, doesn't ring a bell. Anyway, this year's game, what do you have to say, Andrew?
No, I would love to go international, that's all I'm saying. I went to LA once.
You'd
love to go to SF Supco right now. You just want to go anywhere you can go.
Is there a location, SF Supco location
there
in Germany?
There is, in Cologne. It's inside the Dome, I think.
Thank goodness. The historical location.
Sony held a press conference just today.
Sony didn't hold a press conference. They dominated Gamescom.
Really? It's over now?
Yeah. I'm proofreading an article right now from Mitch saying that Sony won before it even started.
Okay.
I don't know how he knew that it won.
To be fair, Sony does not have a lot of competition this year.
Yeah, Microsoft not caring.
Neither Microsoft nor Nintendo are there, and then big names like THQ, Sega. Other third-party names aren't there. There's just Sony.
Big names like be always in the news for financial trouble. THQ and Sega.
Hey, you're saying that they're just not a big name?
When you walk around, you just have your pockets pulled out and you look like this. Probably not going to Gamescom.
Okay.
The Capcom was there. EA.
Darksiders 2 is out today. That's a THQ.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's hope that one sells well. Otherwise, we won't be talking about THQ too much.
Some people like that game.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Are you one of them?
I played the beginning of it at E3, but I'm going to start it later.
Yeah, you haven't really played that.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Anyway, the announcements. Sony had a bunch of announcements at its press conference today. Where to begin? How about with Until Dawn? What is Until Dawn?
New
Got
game.
a girl in a bra.
Yeah. About a girl in a bra.
Yeah, did you watch it? Did you catch the trailer?
On board. No, I haven't.
This is your game.
Yes.
Now Now hold on a second, because I'm gonna tell you something. And you're immediately gonna go, ugh, no, it's not your game. It's a PlayStation Move game. Stick with me, don't go yet. Okay. But it's a horror movie PlayStation Move game. The movie
so it's
is
like Rise of Nightmares.
I hope not. I hope not. Because this looks like a real like there are all these like teens going to a cabin. There's a girl in a bikini. She wants to have sex with a guy, and they're saying all these stupid things. Like, we're gonna get drinking in here. We're gonna have the sex in here. I don't remember the.
This is where we drink.
I don't
remember have the sex.
I don't remember the direct quotes, but that's what they're driving at. But then you use you're using it as a flashlight, the PlayStation Move, in this creepy cabin, this creepy wooded area and stuff.
Okay. It looks cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool idea, but that was my thing. I tweeted how I was excited for it based on that, and then I hit send, and then I immediately followed up with, I hope it's not Rise of the Nightmares. Rise of the Nightmares.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
It looked a little Alan Wakey when he was in the dark
sure.
with the flashlight. I believe that's an official adjective.
Okay, so a horror game that uses PlayStation Move.
Yeah.
Yes. Flashlight. All right, so it's playable at Gamescom. So either Mitch or Charles, the Raging Canadian, or Keza will check it out and play it, and hopefully they'll have more to report on that one.
It's been in development for a long time. I assume that.
Yeah, long rumored. You described it in your news story.
Yeah, people have been talking about this game. The name of this game has been floating around for several years. So
and this is one of the URLs that got out.
Yeah, I wrote about it just a week or two ago about the trademark being renewed for the game too, and Rain. So they basically gave away those two things if you pay close attention.
It's crazy how many of those rumors ended up being right. Like it was two games
Who thought
from Studio
Sony couldn't
Japan.
keep secrets?
Yeah, for once, something leaked out, David.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Rain. This is another game that was just announced today for PlayStation Network.
Looks beautiful, also.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this one's interesting. It looks like it's a little puzzler game or whatever. You're a boy. You are invisible. You're after this girl, and the only way you're seen now
Another
is
girl
when-
game.
Yeah, well, they know what the boys like, Damon. Chasing them girls.
Well, as we all know, only boys play video games.
Only
Yes.
boy. Yeah. I'm waiting for boyfriend mode. Anyways,
That's just every video game, right?
yeah. The main mode is boyfriend mode in every video game. Anyways, yeah, you're a boy, you're invisible. As you walk around, the rain falls on you, and you get to see your silhouette, but you also get to see some creatures in the world silhouettes too. Probably enemies, probably gonna chase you down and eat your face. But you walk around, it looks like you're platforming, pushing stuff around. What am I forgetting, Colin?
I don't know. Sony Japan's making it though, so it has a chance it won't even come out.
6 years from now, we'll still be talking about rain.
What's the other one? Black Swan?
Oh, the unfinished one.
Unfinished one.
But that's not Sony Japan.
I know, but I'm thinking of it as an artistic PlayStation Network game.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah, PlayStation Network, that's their whole thing, right? They're going for like these boutique titles then. Or, speaking to interesting people.
Is Rain like 3D game?
That's the official slogan.
You like that? I got a little bit
boutique titles speaking to interesting people.
I got a bit ahead of myself on that one. I was in the sentence before I knew where the destination was. That's all I could come up with. Interesting people.
Oh, I hope that's the official
so, too.
tagline
Yes.
that they start using.
Yeah.
So how Rain is a 3D game?
Yeah.
You would control it as a normal 3D third-person action game.
Hard to say from the little bit of trailer we saw because we're writing the news,
Paint a
looking at the
picture
trailer,
for
everything.
our listeners
What it
here.
looked to me was like it's going to be a fixed camera angle for different parts of the level you're in. So you'd walk into one side and then you're like moving a box or doing something like this, maybe a little bit elevated from over here at the one part when you're walking around. You saw the creatures over here and there. So there you go. That's the picture I'm painting.
Okay.
You said it was beautiful. How do you describe the graphics?
I did. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's beautiful graphically in the way that like Uncharted 3 is beautiful graphically, but I just meant like the art style is really cool.
Yeah.
It's like it seems very like totally spot on. It reminds me of like Unfinished Swan or Journey or Flower or any of the other like really creative PlayStation Network games.
Boutique titles for interesting people.
Exactly.
And then what is Puppeteer?
Puppeteer is Mike Pereira's most anticipated
Game of the show.
He got so excited during
The game
that.
looks great. Unfortunate name. But
Yeah.
Why?
Name's not
Because
great.
it makes it seem like it's like a PlayStation move or a casual game.
So it's
just No, I don't think it is. I mean, from what I was I don't know the exact details of the game. From what I was looking at, it looks like a pretty hardcore 2D side-scrolling action game.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
So it
So
all takes place on a stage.
let's see if I can get this right. It takes place on a
Let's
stage.
see.
You play as a boy named Kutro, who has been turned into a wooden boy, and his head has been knocked off. Now he can replace his head with other objects. Also, he's looking for a pair of magical scissors to take down, this is all true, the Moon Bear King. Yeah.
Okay. It's starting to sound like Sony's doing some weird stuff. Like this, all the
Boutique
games-
titles for interesting people.
And this one's also Studio Japan, we should say.
Yeah. PlayStation Network?
It
Yeah,
looks like
retail?
It looks like a PlayStation Network game to me.
See,
I
you
hope
think
that's
so?
not a retail game.
I was thinking it looked like a retail game.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of struck me as it might be retail too.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it kind of looks like. It aesthetically looks a little bit like Little Big Planet to me.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah,
And that was the
100%.
interesting thing about Media Molecule coming out and showing their new game. Even that kind of seemed like, oh, this could be.
Yeah, what was their new game? Tearaway.
Tearaway, yeah. Vita
have it here
exclusive. So not surprising actually. You kind of knew that the first parties must be working on Vita games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Gotta play something on that thing.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird, just to ignore this whole new thread of conversation and go back to Puppeteer for a
Sure.
second. It's weird that they announced 2 Studio Japan games and didn't even say, like, they're also working on Last Guardian, don't you
They
worry.
The Last
abandoned it.
Guardian's not coming.
They
The Last
abandoned
Guardian's
Last
not coming.
Guardian.
There's no way.
True.
We will never play Last Guardian.
My prediction about The Last Guardian is that it's no longer called The Last Guardian. It's no longer on PlayStation 3. And if we see it at all, it'll be a PS4 game.
Wow.
And it'll maybe be downloadable and no one will care about it. I mean, I don't know how anyone could possibly care about this game anymore. It's clearly
Caleb Lawson does.
effed.
What
a surprise.
What's the new name?
Puppeteer.
A Boy and His Bird Dog?
Yeah,
Bird dogging.
something abstract. I mean, like I said a million times and beyond, Team Ico hasn't put out a game the entire generation. The entire
That is true.
generation. The entire Uncharted trilogy plus The Last of Us will have come out before in the time it's taken this game to be in development. So just marinate on that gold farm.
Yeah,
There
wouldn't
will
that,
be 100 Wonder Book titles before The Last Guardian.
wouldn't that be weird to be like going to work every day and working on stuff, but none of it ever coming out for what, 6 years now?
Well, if you're doing that, I doubt you're doing much work.
So is that the reason?
There's a lot of tweeting. There's a lot of blogging.
There's a lot of interesting chatter about that game as far as like them having to basically rebuild it. It's basically the form in which we saw it when Clements saw it playable in Tokyo a couple years ago.
When they
It's not-
debuted the NGP.
Yeah, it's not the game as it is now. Like, it's not the same game.
Yeah, remember the Next Generation portable?
I do. Play it every day.
I think the reason the Vita hasn't been such a runaway success is because they didn't just go with the original
They should
name.
have stuck with NGP.
That great name, yeah.
NGP.
Anyway, Tearaway, a new game from Media Molecule. It's an adventure game.
Yeah.
So not a user-generated content game, or at least not based entirely around that, like Little Big Planet.
Media Molecule realized there's no money in that, and they got the hell out of there.
Is that true? I don't know. I feel like
No, Little Big Planet sells well. It's
Yeah,
very
Little Big
popular.
Planet's
A lot of kids like Little Big Planet.
Yeah, well, it's disappointing. Though. I'm a little disappointed with Tearaway. I mean, it looks a little abstract, which is fine, but it's not really that different aesthetically, at least from Little Big Planet, and even mechanically. I mean, it's 3D and stuff, but it doesn't look. They said they wanted to do something else. This really isn't something else. You know,
really?
I wanted them to do something like radically different with radically different graphics and like really flex their muscles. They're talented. They're one of the most talented studios in Sony's stable.
Are they doing Little Big Planet Vita?
No.
Someone
They
else is
just
doing it.
consulted.
The
Yeah,
guys-
they're done with Little Big Planet. They stepped away.
Yeah,
from
they
the
said that they don't
franchise.
want to do it anymore.
I get that. You know, you make 2 games. That in itself is years and years and years of work. So
Yep.
you know, you want to move on.
I do think it's interesting. They were like, "Oh, check out these like cutting edge. It's like it's a paper silhouette on the background of real." And I was like, "Well, that's sort of the Little Big Planet art style." Like,
Yeah.
it struck me as weird. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in it, to be honest. But I mean, it could be excellent. But I mean, I wanted something totally radically different from them, and that's not it.
Cool integration of touchscreen and stuff, though. You can poke your fingers through, and you can
Through the system?
hop on trampolines. Yeah, it's called ruin your system.
It was called Little Deviants, so look what happened to Big Studios.
Touche.
They don't exist anymore.
Mr. Positivity, Colin Moriarty.
Speaking of Vita games and Vita games with touch controls, Killzone Mercenary was also announced.
Yep.
That looks great.
It's a first-person shooter, not possible on any other platform.
No, yeah, I like that. I like that.
They said that twice, which I thought was funny.
So you like this one? You like this one? You're excited.
Looks pretty.
good.
Yeah, it looks really
Yeah,
nice.
looks beautiful.
I don't care about Killzone at all, but I played Killzone 2 and 3 I beat. It doesn't really do it for me, but just having anything really on the Vita at this point is exciting. That looks
sounds so sad.
It's
It's a cool system.
It is. It just doesn't
really cool
have
system.
many games. But Guerrilla. Say what you will about Guerrilla, they seem like a one-trick pony to some because of their they've only developed one game that is not a Killzone game. And this continues that trend, but it looks totally competent. When you've played the likes of Resistance Burning Skies, I think you're kind of looking for a shooter from a studio that's really good, and Guerrilla is a good studio.
See, that's what's exciting. It's a first-person shooter, not from the people who did Resistance Burning Skies,
Yeah.
like Call of Duty on the Vita.
Yeah,
is.
that is the megaton that I think no one's acknowledging, by the way.
So what's the problem with that one?
So Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified.
Finally see footage of it today.
Yeah.
First time ever.
And-
find out the single-player stuff fills in. It's single-player missions between Black Ops and Black Ops 2.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, cool. I'm on board. 4v4 Wi-Fi. All right, tell me more. Developed by
Nihilistic Software
Developers of
of Resistance Burning Skies.
the only other first-person shooter on the Vita that we give a 5.5
and
to.
PlayStation Move Heroes. So PlayStation Move Heroes has a Metacritic score of 54. And Resistance has a Metacritic score of 60, as I wrote in my story that I just wrote before we came up here to record this. And it's just very concerning that Sony and Activision don't care enough about this game to give it to a developer that has made good games. Because no offense to those guys, they're nice guys. We know them.
Yeah, really nice guy.
But their games, they have no games like that are excellent to speak of. And you'd think that you would want a great developer to make Call of Duty. That's why
It's so easy to. All they had to do was hey, like you can play multiplayer matches from this, and the experience you earn goes to Black Ops 2. Didn't even need a single player mode. It could have literally been that. It could have been Black Ops 2 multiplayer on the go, and it
Sure.
would have sold better than this probably.
But now that's to Activision's fault, not
Yeah.
to these guys.
Sure,
Well,
I guess that's
Call of
true.
Duty sells itself, right? Like even the Wii versions of the Call of Duty ports sell well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. They announced a bundle for it too. There'll be a declassified bundle with the Vita. It's got a customized back touch panel and say
Has
yeah,
guns
The
on
part of
the
it,
back
the part of it
instead
that you
of
never see, that you never look at.
yeah.
that's all smudged up and shit.
A few more updates. 4 new characters announced coming to PlayStation All-Stars. Sackboy, Ratchet, Dante from Devil May Cry, and Spike from Ape Escape.
Just so surprising. I mean, it's great that they didn't have any leaks, that we didn't see any of this coming. That was really awesome.
We already knew about Dante.
Yeah, like so these were all in that leak from the
Yeah.
beta, which is kind of crazy. But they look really cool. Like that's kind of what I was saying when that stuff leaked out. It's still exciting finally seeing them in motion. Seeing like Dante's crazy combos and like
Yeah.
Sackboy is amazing and hilarious.
Sackboy's really, really
That's
cute.
really
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah, it's So I was telling Greg and Gold, I went to Superbot last week and I could finally talk about it or whatever. And I saw a lot, and I can't talk about most of what I saw, but I can talk about these characters and the gameplay in general in All-Stars. I think people are really sleeping on this game. Like the way the developers
Well,
play.
how do you mean? Because it's the most popular PlayStation 3 game on IGN.
It's all contextual though, right? I mean, like it's still not like as popular as. First of all, people love to hate this game, and I think that's why a lot of people are clicking on it. But I think that if you play the beta, and I know a lot of people haven't played the beta yet, The way that people are playing the game is not the way the developers play the game. And the way the developers play the game is very strategic and very interesting and really changes the game up. And is giving me like a new lens into how the game, I think, is designed to be played. Because I played it with Seth Killian and Omar Kendall and Cham Park and all these guys that are working on the game. Have been working on the game for years, like fighting OGs, basically, fighting genre OGs. And it's just a really fascinating game. I really have high expectations for the game now. And I'm excited for people to learn more as time goes on. But we have exclusive videos of all these characters. We have a huge exclusive on all these guys.
Really cool.
The only site that has footage of those characters.
IGN.com.
It's cool you've got old characters like Spike from Ape Escape, and then someone totally brand new like the new Dante.
Yeah,
right?
that's
It is the
what's
new
so cool
Dante,
about the
right?
name.
It is
Right.
emo,
Yeah,
emo
exactly.
Dante.
Or as the negative nickname Dino, people call him Dante, name only. But
It's really dumb.
it's a forum nickname.
Okay.
What I love about it is exactly what you just said. This blends. What's so cool about PlayStation All-Stars is that it's paying tribute to the history of the PlayStation brand, but it's also about the current PlayStation brand. So it's like, some people are saying it's like a marketing tool that they're putting in third-party characters, but I don't see it as that at all. I see it as an awesome legacy thing where it's like, right now, Devil May Cry and Tekken Tag Tournament 2 and Bioshock Infinite are coming, so why not have crossover characters? I think it's smart.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people aren't too hot on this this character being in the game, or at least this version of Dante, but the way he plays is actually really interesting.
Seems really cool, yeah.
Yeah, and I think people are going to be surprised about how he plays. He's basically combo-based. Like, as Goldfarb has pointed out, like, some of the characters in the game carry over their combos and, like, the button mashing and stuff from the original game, like Kratos does.
Yeah.
And Dante is a similar character where you're kind of reacting and using combos. He plays unlike any other character in the game, which is really cool. So.
Also announced today was that it will feature cross-buy, which is a
this
new
was
feature.
great. They
Sony's
needed to
finally
do
like,
this.
wait, we've been forgetting something with
Yeah.
this Vita. All right.
PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale is coming to both PlayStation 3 and Vita, and so the cross-buy system means if you buy it on PS3, you get the Vita version for free.
Right.
Is it disappointing that it doesn't work the other way?
Yeah, did they say that implicitly? Because when I
Well, I did.
That's how they described it. I
wrote.
wrote based on what they said at the thing, and that's how they described it.
That's interesting because, I don't know. I mean, it is a little weird. I assume the PS3 version will just come with a voucher that you will download the game with, and maybe it's just not, possible logistically for them to do it with the Vita. I don't know.
See, you say, I think it's the same way either, no matter how you get it, I think it's the exact same way, right? I mean, I guess the thing would be that you'd get a voucher code, so if you had a small memory stick on your Vita, maybe you want the game card version of it. But it's still the same thing, right?
And it would have to be $60 to
Well,
buy
that's the thing,
Vita
yeah.
version
So,
then,
like, how much is the Vita version going to cost?
Probably
Because the
40.
retail version will cost $60, we have to assume, right?
Yeah, Uncharted was the most expensive game and it was $50, so you would assume that it would be.
But if it's the same exact game, why would you pay less? Why wouldn't you pay less for it?
Yeah, that's
So
a good point.
that I understand is the problem.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the things that I think about the game people are going to care. Like, Superbot's not developing the Vita version of the game. We don't really know how. We've only played it like briefly at E3. Yeah. We haven't really seen it since, so maybe it's just, the fidelity of the game might be different. I don't know. Bluepoint's developing it, so.
Investigate this, Greg.
Okay. Well, it's also working for other games.
Ratcheting.
Sly Cooper.
Okay.
Ratchet, which they announced. Yeah, full frontal slot is coming.
It's fun. It's exciting that Ratchet's coming to Vita.
Yeah.
Because that's like a tower defense game, basically, right? So.
Is it a new Ratchet game?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. They announced it back in
a Ratchet tower defense game, you say?
Color Damon Hatfield, interesting.
Yeah, I think
this is relevant to my interests.
I think you how was it described? Like you have it's tower defense, but you're like running around in between waves to like collect things. So it's not like Plants vs. Zombie where it's very stagnant.
It's more like Pixel Junk Monsters, where you got to run to the trees and get stuff.
A little bit like what Fortnite sounds like too, which is that like in between waves of tower defense, you're like scavenging basically. So I think it looks cool, and Sly Cooper I think is also cross-buy.
Yeah, I said that already.
I've been hearing rumors. I haven't confirmed this yet, but that Sly Cooper's delayed until 2013.
Some kid tweeted us about that. I tweeted back at him, asked where he got it.
Other people tweeted at me too. That news exists somewhere, so I'll look into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Colin, Sleeping Dogs is out today. You reviewed it. You gave it an 8.5.
Yes.
You think the game is great.
Yeah, it is. It's a great game.
Open world action game, Grand Theft Auto in Hong Kong. Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah,
your review turned me around on it. I'm excited.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's a special game because it's not as derivative as you might think it is. I mean, I think the story, like I write in the piece, is like where it really hooks you in. Wei Shen is a detective and he's like undercover cop, and you don't really know like if he's like getting sucked into the triad that he's like trying to infiltrate, or if he's like going to be a cop. Like the story is actually very compelling, and I don't think it's as good as Saints Row the Third, and I don't think it's as good as Grand Theft Auto 4 in some ways, but I think that it's still really solid and probably the sleeper hit I think of 2012 so far.
I have not played it yet. I want to check it out. I was on the live stream, so I watched it played for 2 hours and sat there with the developer while he described it. My one concern was that he really said they were trying to go for a cool story, like an HBO drama style serious story. And you mentioned in your review that you like the story a lot. But the disconnect for me is like the combat is so ridiculous and over the top and like arcadey. And I don't have any problem with video games being arcadey, but I just like how does that contrast with trying to tell a serious story?
It's also hard to reconcile a story like that in an open world game because like the way I play open world games is that I very rarely finish the story, and when I do, it's like the last thing I do. You know, like I just love exploring the world and doing all the side missions and stuff like that. So like for me, I worry that it'll be a little bit of what Arkham City was, which is that going on those side missions distracted me from the story. You know, it took away whatever gravitas that story was supposed to have.
Oh, good word.
Yeah, I still think, I mean, I think that's a legitimate qualm and not something that really bothered me too much. Just because I kind of look at the story in a vacuum and like you have to do it in like every. I mean, think about like Uncharted. Think about how great those stories are, especially Uncharted 3, which I think Greg and I agree is like the best Uncharted game, and how awesome that story is. But then like Drake is just murdering hundreds of people in between like the cutscenes, you know. So it's like you kind of have
to be fair, it's in self-defense, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. But like, you know, that's like totally unrealistic. You know, that's in itself is unrealistic. He's getting shot, he heals. It's like when Bromley made that Call of Duty video with Altano and they touch the car and they heal themselves and stuff like that. It's like, you know, you got to suspend your disbelief with any video game, even games that are trying to be totally realistic. I think like Heavenly, or not Heavenly. I was gonna say Heavenly Sword.
Heavenly Sword, totally
so
realistic. This sword's killing me.
Heavy Rain is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Sleeping Dogs, like you're fighting in a fish market, and you know you're an undercover cop, and you can lift guys up and hang them on meat hooks, and then knock them over onto a cart of swordfish heads that are sticking straight up so that they impale themselves. I'm like, this is what the game is like.
I also
mean, it's cool, but it's like
There's footage in your video review of the dude. He slams a guy's head into like an air conditioning thing, and like the rotor at the top is amazing.
No, you're right. I mean, I will say without spoiling it that some of the violence is explained in the story, and like he's not getting away with what you think he's getting away with. I'll just leave it at that.
Sure. Well, I am gonna check it out.
Yeah, you should.
It's out today. The review is up on IGN, and our guide is up too if anyone needs help working their way through the game.
I can make it! Pull up now! I can make it! I'm okay!